Can you share a joint without sharing germs, viruses, bacteria, and cooties? Germaphobes sharing joints. A lot of cannabis users are very familiar with the trend of sharing a joint. Are there valid reasons for concern, or there's really no harm in sharing a joint? This article explores all these questions, and further suggests the safest ways to share weed among our friends. A joint shared keeps friends together. One of the decent cultures among stoners is sharing a joint. It's believed to be the best way to bond with old friends and connect with new ones. But on the other hand, there are concerns about hygiene, especially among germaphobes, who consider ingesting another's oral fluid a disaster. To answer these questions, we first need to explore how germs spread. And while we might have a general idea of what germs are, we need to get more scientific here. Michael Benver, an otolaryngologist, while addressing the Cleveland Clinic, claimed that human saliva consists of enzymes and antibodies which help to reduce contagious risks. This implies that germ spread, as well as those that transmit serious infections, is easier to do with a wet giant. Can sharing a joint get you sick? Philip Journal, a clinical professor of NYU at the Department of Microbiology and Pathology, claimed that approximately 80% of widespread infections spread via indirect and direct contact. Regarding sharing of saliva, Journal pointed out that such activities, as well as sharing a joint, expose people to the risk of catching infections like herpes and flu. Can you contract herpes from sharing a bong or joint? Germ survival outside the human body is dependent on a moist environment. Can these germs survive on a J crutch? How does moisture and germ survival apply to sharing joints? Giorno explained that the moisture of surrounding air is more than enough needed by germs to strive. So, sharing joints indoors, absent of UV light, presents the perfect opportunity for germs to thrive for months. This means sharing a joint with several individuals increases the risk of passing or contracting several infections like herpes. Does this mean the common practice of burning off pathogens on the filter or crutch of a joint is an alternative solution? Frankly, that continues to be a smoker's myth, as no empirical evidence suggests an affirmative answer. But does this apply to bongs? Well, considering little saliva is involved compared to a joint, does that make a difference? Given there's still little contact with the bong, there's a risk of contracting herpes, flu, and other infections. When it comes to herpes especially, sharing bongs or joints could lead to contracting HSV1, herpes simplex type 1. In comparison, HSV1 is contracted through oral transmission, while HSV2 is transmitted via skin-to-skin contact. As regards HSV1, the highest risk of transmission ensues when there's direct contact with an infected person. So, if an individual in the group has the virus, there's a high probability they transmit it to everyone they share a joint with. How to share weed safely? Given the concerns of transmission of infections, germaphobes now need answers to if weed can be safely shared. Fortunately, there's a contactless and safe way to share joints, although it involves some little hand tricks. You start by putting the non-burning end of the joint between your smallest fingers. Then, you connect your thumb and index finger to form a circle. Have a friend light up the joint and take a puff. You'll get to see there's no contact between the joint and your mouth, reducing the chance of transmission. It's also important to mention that having just friends in your joint circle reduces the risk of contracting diseases. Whatever the case, ensure you keep your joint circle as small as possible, and always observe if anyone is showing symptoms of infections. Anyone displaying such symptoms should be temporarily excluded from the circle. Conclusion: whether or not you are a germaphobe, it's quite necessary to be careful with bacteria and germ transmission. Subsequently, it's better to be familiar with the do's and don'ts so you can enjoy bonding with friends over shared joints. By being familiar with the right information, you can share a joint with friends while making every attempt to prevent the transmission of infection. The truth is, one can't completely avoid the risks of sharing a joint, but this smoking trading is what keeps the cannabis community connected.